Before we begin, I'd just like to point out something that will help you get the most out of this course. Personally, I think the best way to learn is to code along as we build our e-commerce platform. But I know there are some learners that just like to watch and listen and then maybe look at the code themselves later. That's perfectly fine. I've set up this course so that both these type of learners can get the most out of it. If you go to my GitHub and navigate to my GitHub account, so you go github.com/ZhangMYihua, if you check the repositories, you will see a bunch of them that say lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3, all the way up to 27. Now, in each of these repositories is going to actually be the code that we finish writing at the end of every lesson related to building our e-commerce platform. So if you get lost, you can always just follow the link that I will provide in that lesson to one of these repos and get the code from there. I'm going to show you very quickly how that would work. So let's say we finish lesson 1 and we start talking about lesson 2 and you want the code, or let's say lesson 3, and you want the code related to lesson 3. You would go to the repo and you would hit this button, clone or download. From here, we go into our terminal, and I'm going to teach you a little bit of Git here. So we go git clone, and then we put down the link that we just copied, and then we can put our own name of our folder for where we want this to be stored, or we can just let Git do it, and it'll just name it whatever the name of the repo would. So it would be lesson 3. So let's just call it cloned repo. So Git will clone that project into this folder now called cloned repo. And inside will be all of the code related to what we just pulled down. Now, if you wanted to continue from this package and you want to save your progress in your own repository, what you have to do is actually change the remote. So if we type in git remote, we'll see that there's actually an origin already here, right? And this is pretty much just the name of another repo that this is attached to. And that repo is my repo, the one that you just pulled this code from. But because you cannot push to my repo, because I don't want that code changing, because I want all the students to be able to benefit from the code that is already there, what you're going to do is you're going to remove this remote. So you're going to type git remote, remove, and then origin, right? And now you won't have an origin in your remote. So you're going to add your own. And first what you have to do is create a new repository, and you can call yours whatever you want. Let's say you call it cloned repo, just for an example. When you create this repo, you can take this SSH key here, and then you can do git remote add origin, and then you would just put in your SSH key that you just copied. You'd hit enter, and now you can push to your repo anything on this code, and you can also pull. So what this remote is essentially it's just a pointer to some repository that is not on your local device, right? And you want to call it origin because if you use any shorthands like gg push or gg pull, in case you're using something like zshell, which adds that for you, what it will do is it is essentially an alias for git push origin master or git pull origin master. So naming an origin is just easier for us. And now if you push, you'll be able to push all the code that you just pulled in from my repo into your own repo. So if we refresh, we should see our code, and there it all is. Now always remember to also run yarn or npm install so that you download all of the packages related to your project. And now that you know what to do, let's get started with building our final application.